Good evening and welcome to the news on Canal International. We're coming to you live from our studios in Douala, and we kickstart tonight's installment with the headlines. Here's Kejang Henry Atembe.
Cameroonians mourn as search for survivors continues at the Falaise Chang after massive slides buried 2 loads of 30-seater buses and other smaller vehicles. The debris is reported to have crashed at 40 meters above sea level, sweeping everything on its path. And despite the Falaise hecatomb, CPDM celebrates 42 years of President Biya's accession to power as a nation builder. And as CPDM celebrates, pundits ask, what legacy after 42 years that warrants President Biya to pick up another term at the Unity Palace? And historic comeback as Donald Trump sweeps key swing states that jettisoned him to the White House. Live from Duala, the 6:15 news will roll out in a split second with anchorman Tariq Divine Ramsey Jr.
Thanks once again for staying on with us. Now, roads in Cameroon's commercial hub Douala are in a crisis with stalled construction, crumbling pavements and demooring.
It's not enough to hear about it. You have to see it to believe it. The city of Douala showcases a catastrophic road landscape. Inhabitants cry out.
Je trouve les routes de Douala très défavorables.
The roads sound favorable, causing enormous traffic. The quality of the roads is not good at all. We are supposed to adopt a system where the roads are durable. It feels like a curse has been cast upon Douala inhabitants cry out as the economic hub increasingly resembles an abandoned road work site.
Je ne sais pas si la communauté vraiment fait son devoir.
I don't know why the city council is not doing its job. And they only do that when it is exaggerated, when inhabitants are in difficulty. And that's when they come in to do the job, which is not good. This slow pace of construction, combined with questionable quality, concerns not only the residents, but also the urban community of Douala, which announced on Tuesday, November 5, 2024, the resumption of long-abandoned road projects. Procedure to conduct road construction because our life is having quality roads, and that's why we have a department in charge of controlling the roads to ensure the minimum standards. The official launch of the resumption of roads and sanitation projects was held in the presence of major personnel in Douala. The meeting allowed Douala City Council to review all stakeholders involved in the various projects across the city. In a matter of hours, the machines will be back to work in the city.
We stay on the roads and now take you over to Bekoko, that's in the west end of Douala, to deep dive into the frustrations of travelers and motorists with snarl-ups, a daily occurrence. Rather, here's Ambo Gladys.
The Bonaberi-Bekoko road, once a reliable passage into Douala, has seen traffic delays worsen significantly over the last 2 years. Car owners, transport buses, and residents in Douala say the gridlock is not only tiring but also unsafe, with a rapidly deteriorating road surface causing frequent accidents.
We are exhausted. Traveling from Loum to Douala takes at least 3 to 4 hours around Carrefour Music. It's terrible. Even the road connecting Loum to Douala is in a terrible state, causing numerous accidents.
Inhabitants who have long called this area home remember better days.
Ici là depuis 1999.
I have lived here since 1999. Back then, traffic wasn't an issue because the roads were in good condition. Nowadays, especially on weekends, travelers spend at least 4 hours on the stretch. Drivers struggle with potholes, and despite efforts by law enforcement, the situation remains unchanged.
The dire condition has forced some people to take drastic measures. When the traffic is particularly intense, people often abandon their vehicles and walk from Carrefour Music to Bekoko. Residents also express frustration over the authorities' inconsistent response, suggesting that road repairs are often timed with election seasons.
It's only when elections are near that the authorities pretend to maintain the roads by filling the potholes with substandard materials. The roads in the inner neighborhoods are even worse. Traffic congestion is unbearable, creating a nightmare for road users. The poor condition of the roads is the main cause of both the traffic and the frequent accidents.
As traffic congestion and road deterioration continue to plague these vital roads, many in Douala hope for a permanent solution rather than temporary fixes tied to political cycles.
And as insecurity rises in the capital, Yaounde, local authorities are in quest of solutions. Tuesday at the office of the Mfundi Senior Divisional Education System to help address the issue. Tia Hyacinth reports.
The rising insecurity in Yaounde, facilitated by the commercial motorbike sector, remains a major concern. Cases of theft, robbery, harassment and other related crimes reported daily. Among the needed solutions is this initiative geared towards identifying, localizing and securing the motorbikes, the rider and the passengers. Presented to the administrative and local authorities of the Mfundi Division this November 5, the expert explained the process of registration with the national identity card, address of both riders and the motorbike owners, areas of work, and tracking through the GPS system.
Il y a d'abord la moto qui est identifiée, le propriétaire et le conducteur. Et au sortir de là, ils ont un QR code, un pour la moto et un autre pour le conducteur. Ce QR code permet à chaque conducteur de rouler aisément parce que ce QR code avec le numéro court est affiché sur son chasuble derrière et devant avec la photo du concerné qui permet déjà même à un usager de l'emprunter sans inquiétude.
Present in the meeting were commercial motorbike trade union leaders who see the initiative as a real solution to their numerous security threats.
La façon dont ils ont rédigé le projet me font croire que c'est un projet porteur et qui va marcher.
It was an occasion for the DIOs and the mayors of the capital city and other stakeholders to make recommendations ahead of the materialization of the project as consultations continue.
We stay on in the capital, Yaounde, where magistrates and other judicial officials are being drilled on how to trace, identify and seize criminal assets as a part of the fight against money laundering and corruption. Up next, Beatrice Ngamo reports that the drilling is being organized in partnership with the French Embassy in Cameroon.
Seizure of criminal assets, also known as asset forfeiture, is an action to temporarily restrain an asset or put it into the custody of the government. Here we are referring to cash, real estate, land, buildings, car, and others. An important way to better handle money laundering and corruption rife today in Cameroon. Importance, therefore, for magistrates and other judicial actors to have power to effectively go about the mission, identifying, tracing, seizure, and confiscation of criminal assets. Raison d'etre of the three-day empowerment session organized by the Ministry of Justice in partnership with the French Embassy at Enam. It is simply to equip magistrates and judicial actors in charge of enforcement rights, establishing justice in the area of seizure and confiscation of criminal assets. The workshop with experts from France and Cameroon is focusing on legal challenges in this fight, working with practical cases to buttress the capacity building session.
Improve the local capacities, the local knowledge, the local way of dealing with this kind of subjects. And I hope, during these 3 days, there will be a lot of best practices, good practices.
The purpose of seizing criminal assets is to combat crime, ensure justice, deter future criminal activity, pay for damages caused by crime, and more.
And as Cameroon marks 42 years of President Paul Biya's presidency this November 6, his legacy showcases a mix of controversy, challenges, and progress. From political tensions and unrest to economic growth and infrastructure development, Biya's long tenure has left an imprint of controversy on the nation's future. Here's Gladys Ambo with an assessment 42 years after.
Paul Biya took over power in 1982, inheriting a resource-rich but financially challenged economy with heavy reliance on exports like cocoa, timber, and oil. Cameroon was vulnerable to global price shifts. Economic hardships led to decades of IMF assistance, with Cameroon emerging from its oversight after nearly 20 years.
Cameroon has been in the clinic of the International Monetary Fund more than 20 years, and on Friday, 28 April 2026, we have succeeded to achieve, let's say, to realize what they call the point of achievement, which give the opportunity to Cameroon to see his debt, the stock of his debt, notably considerably reduced, less than 1,000 billion CFA francs.
Despite these early hurdles, the economist Jean-Marie Biada points to significant strides during Biya's presidency, which he says has been marred by inflation, reducing purchasing power, and leaving the state struggling to maintain financial commitments.
During the mandate of the President Biya, Cameroon has launched the exploitation of some of its mineral resources. Let me mention the natural liquefied gas. Cameroon has increased and diversified his system of production of electricity, let's say energy.
Amidst economic shifts, Biya also pushed a new progressive vision in his later years, centered around tackling deep-rooted issues.
When you talk about import substitution, is part of that progressive vision. When you talk about the fight against tribalism and corruption, is part of that progressive vision.
Yet, critics argue that fundamental issues remain unaddressed. Corruption, tribalism, and the unresolved Anglophone crisis have cast long shadows over his tenure.
There's bad governance in Cameroon, there's corruption, there's a lot of tribalism, there's a lot of hate speech going on. There's the Anglophone problems. Youth don't have jobs. There's poor infrastructure development, no internet, no steady electricity, no water in places. The hospitals are not as good as they ought to be.
President Biya's 42-year legacy is complex, woven with both advancement and setbacks. As the nation looks towards the future, the question remains whether his vision will be enough to overcome the challenges that have persisted under his leadership.
If you're just tuning in, this is the 6:15 p.m. news on Canal International. We're broadcasting live from our studios in Douala. Now, the tragic demise Tuesday of a 10-year-old student of the Dedo Bilingual High School in Douala has left the educational community as well as the bereaved family in tears ever since. Earlier today, Littoral Governor Samuel Eva Hadiboa paid condolence visits to both the educational community and the bereaved family. Here's D. Maureen with an update.
Paco Doval's bench at Lycée Dedo sits empty, a haunting reminder of her classmates of the tragic accident that claims her life. The 10-year-old student known to sit on that bench in a Form 1 classroom got involved in an accident on school grounds that ended her life, leaving her classmates in shock and sorrow. The day after the untimely death, Littoral Governor Samuel Ivaha Dibois visited the school, meeting with students and staff in a bid to console them.
Nous voulons vous dire que les accidents, ça arrive. Et ça peut arriver à chacun de vous, comme ça peut arriver à chacun de nous.
In his address, the governor urged the young students to be strong and reminded them of life's unpredictability. And accidents like these, he says, can happen to anyone. No one can plan their end, he said, aiming to calm fears and reassure the grieving students.
Mais je voudrais vous inviter à vous ressaisir.
Following the school visit, Governor Dibois continued the family's residence in Bonateki, Dejo in Douala, where neighbors and relatives gathered in mourning. Toval's parents are heartbroken, struggling to process the sudden loss of their daughter, who left for school like any other day, never to return. The tragic incident has spurred deep in the neighborhood.
The father went and escorted them to school, left them at the gate before coming back. And all of a sudden, we just got a call that your child has had an accident and is dead. I mean, it's total confusion.
They think the whole week over for her. How that papa go leave his pikin for school for 7:30, 8 o'clock, they call you say pikin don't die.
One resident informed Canal that after discussing with other children, they made him to observe that at least 5 to 6 children have died since April, sparking questions about possible mystical influences in the school. For now, Paco Doval's body lies in the mortuary at the Dejo Hospital, sealed under the state prosecutor's orders to allow for full investigation.
Meanwhile, travel agencies serving the West region from Douala are warning of the possibilities of higher transportation costs following Tuesday's landslides at the Cliquez, otherwise known as La Falaise. They say deviation recommended by the authorities is longer, rougher, and more costly to navigate. Here's Cynthia Latte.
Since the landslide occurred on November 5, this travel agency in Douala has seen a sharp decline in passengers heading to the West region. According to agency staff, there has been a 25% drop in bookings for the route.
Le chiffre d'abord sur cette ligne a chuté.
The number of passengers I recorded throughout the day was very low today. I suggested it might be due to the landslide, as many people are afraid to travel. Normally, I have about 50 passengers heading to Chang in the morning, but today we had only 35. The situation is similar across multiple agencies in Douala. The atmosphere is tense. The fallout from the landslides continues to unfold. Many travelers are choosing to cancel, while others are reluctant to make the journey. Etienne, who recently bought a ticket for his wife, expressed his concerns.
Lorsque la personne arrive, que tu appelles, te dis que je suis bien arrivé, que le cœur se calme. Sinon, pendant toute la nuit du voyage, on ne dort pas.
With the main route to the West region now impassable, travelers are being redirected to the Melonkekem-Bafang-Bafoussam road. This alternative, however, is presenting challenges of its own. Though recommended by local authorities, it is significantly longer, in poor condition, and more difficult to navigate. Traveling has become challenging. We previously avoided that stretch due to its poor condition, but now the landslide is forcing us to use it again, which will likely damage our vehicles. As agencies prepare for these new challenges, they are also anticipating higher costs to cover the added expenses of the detour. These cost increases are expected to be passed on to travelers, further deterring those hesitant to take the trip. The prices of transportation may increase, particularly for passengers traveling to Baliveng, Chang, and Bangsua. Although we haven't finalized our decision yet, we are considering a 500 francs increase.
And now we go beyond Cameroon because the U.S. presidential election has come to a close with Donald Trump securing a return to the White House 4 years after his previous term. Trump defeated Kamala Harris in a tightly contested battle, becoming the 47th president of the United States. In Cameroon, the results of those elections have been sparking mixed reactions, as you now tell us, Hyacinth Chia.
Came obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy? But it's a political victory that...
The election of Donald Trump as the President of the United States of America for the second time has not left Cameroonians indifferent, as some predict the impact of his reign on the African continent.
Satisfait de l'élection de Trump. Mais nous pensons qu'avec une seconde chance et de l'expérience, il saura mieux s'ouvrir à l'Afrique.
First of all, Donald Trump is a very good man. I have very good record concerning Donald Trump. African people can benefit from this election because first, Donald Trump is a man of God. He's somebody who fears God. He's a man of his word. Economically, I think he's going to do something better for the people of Africa.
While others are carried away by the democratic process of the U.S., many insist it is a wake-up call for Cameroonians to focus on the realities of their country.
Priorité de nos préoccupations des Camerounais lambda.
Il n'y aura pas de changement.
American election, how it has benefited us. We in Africa. Our own election here is more crucial than the one in America. Think about your husband talking about somebody's home. What do you say about our own election here?
Emerging victorious over Kamala Harris as the 47th President of the United States of America, Donald Trump has the huge task of redressing the socio-economic situation of his country, which is currently experiencing numerous challenges.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's package. Thanks once again for the privilege of your company, and from all of us here in Douala, have a great evening.